situation. But what I've seen of Jalen Hurts is a guy who's very bright, whose teammates just absolutely revere him. I think he's got a very underrated arm by the general public. I think he's got plenty of arm strength, and he has the ability to be very accurate. And I think he's a terrific athletic quarterback who can take off, and yet he's reluctant to do that unless all of his receivers are covered. So I think he's the total package, and I have made up my mind that he's the quarterback going forward. Now,
All right. Speaking of running the ball, you know what I love? And one of the things that I've been fortunate enough to do, yesterday I had my friend Brad Sham on, the voice of the Dallas Cowboys, and now I'm getting an opportunity to talk to my friend Merrill Reese, and he joins us now here on the National Football Show. Merrill, how you doing, my friend?
I am well, Dan. How are you?
Very good. Merrill, after the first two games, just, you know what? I feel like this going into this game against Dallas on Monday night. Okay, 17 points they give up. They give up only 6 points. You know that this is a marathon. It's not a sprint. I feel really good on where they are. Are there improvements to be made offensively? Of course there are, but just your sense of how you're seeing this team after the first two games.
Dan, I'm still in the learning process of figuring out where they are or how good they are or what their needs are. We're learning a lot about them in the first couple of weeks because we sure didn't learn a lot during the summer, where they had short practices without tackling. They had preseason games without regulars. So under normal circumstances, I think September is a feeling out process throughout the National Football League. It's not like teams come charging into the season and we say, "Oh, they've got it all." September has a lot of surprises to it, so I'm encouraged about certain aspects of the Eagles. I like Jalen Hurts a lot. I think he's going to be a very good quarterback, but he is still in the learning process. You talk about the Cowboys. You talk about two quarterbacks next week, Dak Prescott, who is in his sixth year, and Jalen Hurts, who just completed his sixth start. That's a big difference.
Absolutely here. And do you agree too, here, Merrill, a little bit here that we're going to find out a little bit more about this Eagles team, because I want to throw the games that you have coming up here. You've got Dallas, you've got the Panthers, the Raiders, Kansas City, and the Buccaneers. I think after this 5-game stretch, we're pretty much going to know who we are here when we go forward after these 5 games. Do you agree?
Either that or run for cover. I mean, that's a pretty daunting task that you just outlined.
Absolutely. And I think, you know what? You know, I saw them in the opener against the Falcons. I was really good. I watched that 49ers game, and I said this, Merrill, I thought they dominated the 49ers in the first half of that game. And then in the second half, I thought the 49ers came out, made adjustments. And again, this came out with Kyle Shanahan being a little bit more experienced at the coaching position than what Nick Sirianni is. But it's not just Jalen learning, isn't it? It's more about the coach also making that transition from being a coordinator into being a head coach. So this is all going through the training wheels process. Do you agree?
Well, I'm not sure if it's the coaching or just the fact that I thought San Francisco overpowered them in the trenches on both sides of the line of scrimmage in the second half. I mean, even when Garoppolo went with the quarterback sneak, he wasn't just eking it out. You could see the pile move downfield about 2 or 3 yards. They were pushing the Eagles' defense back. And when it came to the Eagles' defense, they were getting no pressure on Garoppolo. So I thought the Eagles had opportunities in the first half. They had a first and goal, or before that, they had a touchdown pass seemingly to Jalen Reagor, and he was out of bounds by about 3 feet on the side, 3 inches on the sideline. And then they had a first and goal in the other direction after a pass interference on Devontae Smith, and they failed to convert. So you can go back to those as really turning points in the game, but still in all, the 49ers were the dominant team when it counted the most.
Merrill, Jalen's play so far, are you starting to become a believer that he is going to be the quarterback of the future, or do you still need some more quarters before you make that assessment?
Dan, I made that assessment last season, and I believe he is. I watched him when he played against the Saints in his very first start. And I talked at length to Doug Peterson, who was around him all season. And I think he's the total package. Now I have to be honest with you, because of the COVID restrictions, I have not personally met any player drafted in the last 2 years. I see them under the tent, mass press conferences. I see them from the sideline during training camp. But these are not the old days when you went into the locker room and hung out with a guy and you got to know them, or you watched them close up during the practice situation, or you saw them on the plane. I mean, we're not traveling. We're not. We're doing the away games virtually, so it's an entirely different situation. But what I've seen of Jalen Hurts is a guy who's very bright, whose teammates just absolutely revere him. I think he's got a very underrated arm by the general public. I think he's got plenty of arm strength, and he has the ability to be very accurate. And I think he's a terrific athletic quarterback who can take off, and yet he's reluctant to do that unless all of his receivers are covered. So I think he's the total package, and I have made up my mind that he's the quarterback going forward. Now, unfortunately, my mind is not the official mind of the Philadelphia Eagles. But you asked me what I think, and I think they've got somebody special.
Is this offensive line that the Eagles have comparable to the championship offensive line? Because I'll tell you, Merrill, I am impressed. And Brian Baldinger came on our program, and he said, Sills, watch this kid, Jordan Mailata. I've been eyeballing him a lot. They gave him a contract extension, and he is a beast, one of the more athletic guys. I think he has a chance to be a Larry Allen type offensive lineman. I really like what I'm seeing. You watching the team pretty much on a day-to-day basis here, you think this group is as good as that group that won the Super Bowl?
Well, I do when they're at full strength. Don't forget, they have now lost Brandon Brooks, who's one of the best guards in football, for who knows how many weeks. He's on injured reserve. He has a strained pectoral muscle, so he could be out 4, 5, 6 weeks. I'm not able to evaluate that. So if you're talking about this offensive line with Brandon Brooks and outside of him, Lane Allen, you got Lane Johnson, and then you're talking about Jason Kelsey and Isaac Siamalo and Jordan Mailata, who I agree with you. I think he's going to be, an annual All-Pro. I think he's going to be a Pro Bowl player from here on in. He's that special. But I think we have to wait. We have to see how it plays out, because now they're going to be playing a rookie, although he was one of the best offensive linemen in the college game last year before he became injured. But they've inserted Landon Dickerson, and I think it's going to be interesting to see how he plays.
Merrill, a couple more questions for you here. Nick Sirianni, I said this after the Atlanta game, the designs of the plays, Merrill, and the structure of the play calling and all the things that they did in that Atlanta game on the road, I thought they were brilliantly constructed. I really loved the game plan. And then a little bit when they were home at the link, maybe, he is putting an offensive package because maybe Hurts is still learning how to read the field. They've got him rolling a lot. You see some plus 25 plays. Maybe the Philly special wasn't something that should have been down in the red zone. They still have to work on their red zone offense. But so far with Nick Sirianni, I'm liking what I'm seeing. Now, I know everybody criticizes the guy for press conferences, but you don't win games in press conferences. You win games with play calling and with designing of offenses. And I'm pretty impressed with him so far. How do you look at Nick Sirianni so far?
Well, I like him a lot, but the only press conference that was really ridiculed, where it wasn't putting him in the best light, was the first one when they introduced him. But since then, his press conferences have been really down to earth, and he communicates well. He's just a great guy, and he's a bright guy, and he has a passion for the game. I like Nick Sirianni a lot, and I like his staff. And his defensive coordinator, Jonathan Gannon, mark my words, will be a head coach in this league in the next 3 or 4 years. So it's a good. And then when you talk about the offensive line, you have one of the best older coaches in football in Stout, Jeff Stoutland. He comes from Nick Saban's Alabama team, where they had all those great offensive linemen, and he's a guy who has had a lot of chances to leave, but the Eagles keep upping his salary and saying, "We want you with us." So he's one of the best OL coaches in the game today. So I like the whole staff. I really do. starting with Nick Sirianni.
Okay, I have to end a debate with you here between Gary Cobb and myself, and I think because you've been around the team for 50 plus years, you can end this here. Gary says that the rivalry with the Eagles is the Dallas Cowboys, and I said this. Listen, my uncle's Andy Robustelli. Okay, and when I grew up, it was Giants and Eagles, and it will always be Giants and Eagles. I don't know the Cowboys. Okay, I because they're America's team, whatever. Merrill, end this debate here. Who is the true Eagle rivalry?
Cowboys.
Oh
Cowboys.
My God, really?
Birds and the boys. They started years ago when I'm going back in history when somebody, a linebacker by the name of Leroy Jordan, kicked running back Timmy Brown's teeth out, and the war was on. But it's Eagles Cowboys here. But you know what? The Giants probably say it's Giants Cowboys, and the Washington Cowboys are everybody's main rival. But it certainly is the Eagles.
Hey, man, it's going to be a great Monday night, and I can't wait to see what happens, especially, like I said, over these next 5 games. Merrill, I appreciate you catching up with us. Thank you so much, my friend.
Dan, it's great to talk to you. Have a great day.
You got it. That is my friend Merrill Reese. We'll take a brief time out, and we will get right back to you. You keep it right here on the National Football Show.